I feel like they don't understand.
Kane caught that close. Oh, he's got some magic about him, this youngster, Kane Corns.
They're all just speaking tongue.
Young Kane Corns is so clean. He's come out there in the heat of the battle and 3 times he's taken the football cleanly. Something, dare I say, special about that young fella.
Number 18, Kane Corns.
Tell me all the things I've missed.
Corns, it's a famous name in footy. First there was Graham, then there was Chad, and then there was Kane. And he's been more than able since his debut in 2001. And he finally joins us on the couch after many years of trying to get you over. Welcome to you, Kane.
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, boys.
It's been an exciting year for all of you, an exciting couple of years, in fact. But just at the moment, the portrait's starting to crumble a little bit.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks, probably the last month, hasn't been where we would like it. But it's been a great year by the players. We've lost 3 games by under a kick, so it would have been great to get 2 or 3 of those, or maybe even 1. But I mean, you would have taken the 3rd on the ladder at this stage of the year. But we've got some work to do to get things back on track.
Just talking about that last month where you've lost 3 or 4. What do you see as the catalyst, or what areas have dropped off?
Probably just the little things, Jason. A goal kicking has probably let us down and probably cost us a couple of games. We probably haven't brought the frenetic intensity that we've brought probably at the start of the year, which we need to get back to.
There's your goal kicking there, mate. You've gone from 2nd in the comp over the first 12 rounds to 18th over the last 5 weeks.
It's surprising. We do a lot of work on it. Right from when pre-season started, we realised that this can cost you games, and we've been talking about goal kicking in footy for as long as I can remember. So something we need to address and get right.
Kane, you mentioned frenetic pace. Is it possible to play at the level that you guys play at for 22 home and away games, particularly when you do get some injuries to key players?
Yeah, it is. I think we're a fantastic running group.
Okay.
Our midfield is really strong in that area, and our numbers would suggest that that hasn't really dropped away. But certainly teams have come to hunt us and get after us and really pressure us. We probably haven't coped with that to the best of our ability as we did in the first half of the year, but something we're aware of, and we need to get back to playing that attacking footy that we love.
Kane, an amazing record. You're the games record holder at 283, 4 best and fairest. 9 years of the past 10 you finished top 3 in the best and fairest. 2011 is the exception. What happened that year? You ended up going back to Glenelg twice. What happened?
Yeah, it was a tough year, Mike. Matty Primus took over as coach, and probably not the first player to see different points of view from the coach in terms of the way he saw my game, which was fine. But yeah, it was a challenge for me. I ended up playing reserves at North Adelaide one day. It was probably the lowest point of my career, but in a way it was probably the best thing that could have happened to me. It forced me to go away and work on some areas of my game that needed addressing.
Like?
Yeah, look, I think just the way I was using the ball, where I was getting the footy, was going to ground a little bit too much. So at the time, you're angry and you try and think of excuses, but when you really knuckle down and look at it, there was areas I needed to work on, and I did address that in the off-season that year. I got really fit and came back.
Did you think you were gone though? I think Matty Primus thought you were finished as an AFL footballer. Did you?
Yeah, 100%. I thought I was gone, and if it wasn't probably for Keith Thomas, who took over as CEO that year, he sat down and had a coffee with Keith, and I told him I'd had enough, and I had 2 years to go on my contract, so they were pretty reluctant to pay that out. But Keith showed a lot of faith in me, and said that he was going to give me a fair shot. So I went away and got really fit. And 2012, I think people forget, under Matty Primus, I won the best and fairest that year, and we got along professionally really well. So we were able to put that difference behind us and get on with it.
Mike, can you just emphasise that again? I mean, that just rolled off the tongue, but that would be the best and fairest record of any current day player.
Well, Corns, this one, Kane, and Warren Treadray share the record at Port Adelaide. Only 2 blokes have won more than 1, and that's them with 4. And the game's record holder. I mean, I'm not saying
but
that
the top 5 finishes is an incredible.
Well, top three. 9 out of 10 years in the top 3. I mean, I don't think you get the recognition over here that you deserve for that record.
Yeah, probably rightly so, Michael. I've never seen myself as a great player. I've always been just a battler, someone who does their job. Is good at stopping opponents and getting a little bit of the foot himself. But I've never seen myself, as probably that record suggests. And look, I don't tend to look back on what I've done too much. Probably will at the end of my career, but always sort of focusing on what's next and the next challenge in front of me.
As a battler, you get a hell of a lot of the footy when you want to chase it, mate. And I tell you what, you do some great shutdown roles too. What's been the balance of your role under Ken Hinkley?
Yeah, it's probably been 50-50, Jason. I think Ken understands me really well. He understands that it is pretty mentally draining playing that shutdown role week in and week out, and credit to the guys that do that in the AFL. But it is nice to get freed up every now and then and work on other areas of your game. So Ken understands that, and we've got a great relationship.
What's the potential of this group? You've played in a premiership side. You've got some terrific players around you, some like Robbie Gray, who the coaches have in their top 5, an amazing draft pick. We looked at that earlier in the program, along with Justin Westhoff. You picked him up at 71. He's turned into a match winner himself. Has this group got a premiership within them, or do you need to get some backup for key defensive zones and others?
It's a hard question to answer, Jared, and I'm not sure you get too much out of answering whether you're going to win a flag or not, or whether you can see it. I think you've got to focus on just winning as many games as you can to get top 4, and from there we know you're a big chance. You're as good a chance as anyone. So for us now, it's just about winning as many games as we can and finishing as high as we can. But we've got some serious talent on our list, and the group is as driven a group as I've ever seen. We're led extremely well by Travis Boak. He sets an amazing standard, and the young players that are in our side are really driven for success. So, look, I'm really confident the next few years at the Port Adelaide Footy Club.
Did you fear that Travis Boak was going to come back to Melbourne a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Mike, he's a great person from an amazing family, and to see the way he's developed his game, not only on the field but off it, the best leader I've played under. And yeah, look, I'm just glad that he stayed. He never really spoke about his contract stuff. He kept it pretty private, but I think he's made the right choice.
It's been a massive change, a massive impact from Ken Hinkley at the Port Adelaide Football Club. What makes Ken so great?
The first thing is he's an amazing motivator. Every week I go into the team meeting before a game and I think to myself, how's he going to get us up this week? But he finds a way to get us up. You feel like you want to run through a brick wall after he's finished talking to you. So that's, from me, that's his number one thing. He motivates us like no other coach I've ever had. And secondly, he's just really footy smart. He knows what's going. He makes calls on gut instinct from the coach's box that he sees the game very, very well.
Can I take you back 8 years and the birth of the first of your 3 kids, Eddie? He was born with a major heart irregularity. Did that change your life then? Because you were obsessive about football, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. It probably prolonged my career in a way. It forced me to focus on what's really important. I was so intense about my footy. If I had a good game and we won, I'd be happy. If I had a bad game or we lost, I wouldn't talk to anyone for a few days. So it was getting a bit out of control there. Chad actually sat me down one time and said, "Mate, you've got to relax. You've got to chill out." So the stuff we've had with Eddie has forced me to do that. It's been the biggest challenge of my life, and Lucy, my wife, she does an amazing job. She stays pretty strong for the family, but yeah, he's got a battle ahead of him, but he's a great kid.
His heart was born on the wrong side?
He was born with his heart on the right side of his body instead of the left. It's called dextrocardia. And he's got a couple of drainage issues with that, which is, he's had a couple of operations and probably facing open heart surgery sometime in the future. But look, he's doing really well. He loves his footy, and he loves being a part of the Port Adelaide Footy Club.
Can I ask you about a controversial incident on the weekend? Angus Monfries was run down from behind, and I think it's exposed a flaw in the rules that nobody can really tell you what prior opportunity is. I think the umpires were found out in recent times use 6 steps as a guide. If that's the case, that's a good decision, but there's been a hue and cry from around the country that it was the wrong decision. What's your understanding of it, and what did you think at the time?
I'm not too sure. Clearly that one is holding the ball. I think we need to get back to rewarding the tackler as a kid.
Just before you go on, Kane, did you say clearly holding the ball?
Clearly holding the ball.
Jared?
Well, I don't think it is. I think it's a prior opportunity. I think you're entitled in the game to get balance to kick. And the umpires, if they've been given a guideline of 6 steps, well, that's clearly a good decision based on what the umpires' guidelines have been. But from speaking to people on the Rules Committee, they've found out that there is no guideline as to what this means, prior opportunity.
But the player mentality is you would have thought that that's incorrect disposal.
When I was taught as a kid, if you get tackled and you drop the ball, holding the ball. I think we need to get back to rewarding the tackle because it's such a great skill, an underrated skill in our sport and something that you're taught as a kid. So let's reward the tackle, let's play holding the ball, and it'll clear up the congestion as well for paying more frees. The play will flow quicker, we won't have the rolling stuff that we're getting at the moment. Speaking
of rules, you guys are pushing the envelope, I think, as far as some set plays. And we saw one last week that was absolutely extraordinary. I don't know if you've seen footage of this. Look at Pittard with the ball under his arm. This is while an opponent's having a shot for goal. Not allowed to go to the bag and get the ball. Throws it to Broadbent. The ball's still in the air there. Off and running. And it goes end to end. It's innovative, isn't it?
Very clever from Jasper. We actually get stuck into Jasper at times for not being the smartest decision maker on the field at times. We love him, but yeah, very clever.
What about
folklore? So, footy folklore has it, Kane, that you were the first person to be taken to the authorities for acting. You remember there was the legislation was in that you can't act, and if you do, you risk suspension. Nothing's happened since, but what happened in your case?
I never got a warning or a letter or anything like that. I got a message that they were looking into an incident. I think it was with Corey Enright down at Skills Stadium one day. I never got an official warning, but I mean it was enough for me to pull my head in and stop doing it. The embarrassment.
But the
of that.
legislation's got no teeth, though.
Well, yeah, I don't think we're seeing as many players do it these days as they were back then. I think it's. Just the odd warning is enough to, even you guys just talking about it is enough for players.
Wasn't there an incident on the weekend where the umpire told you to get up and stop acting?
That was actually legit.
It was. You got it wrong. By the way, I was always taught if you got tackled and the ball was knocked out, it was play on. But nevertheless,
different game.
Big game for you against the Tigers on the weekend. You've lost 3 out of 4, as the whole footy world is talking about. We're looking forward to you coming back to the winners list and seeing how you rebound.
Yeah, look, we've had some trouble with Richmond. It's another really tricky game for us. They've beaten us, I can't remember, I think Ben Cousins' last game was the last time we beat them. So, yeah, time for us to get a win on the board. We're playing away, so another challenge for us. A big game to get our season back on track.
Appreciate you coming over. Good luck.
Thanks,
Good
boys.
to see you.
Been a pleasure.
Kane Corn, special guest on the couch. More to come straight after this.